All right. So it's been a minute, right? I've had a couple of issues that I had to deal with the family and my own health issues, but I am back to talk about Hassan's adventures. So it's time for us to plan another adventure for Hassan. It's just time. And in one of my videos, I think that I had mentioned that whenever I'm planning a vacation for Hassan, that I plan it a year in advance, or at least, I don't know, 9 or 10 months in advance. And so, if I want to plan an adventure for Hassan's birthday, which is in June, I have to start planning now. Okay? So, there are so many components to planning his adventure in order for it to be a success, in order for it to be something that he enjoys, that we enjoy. And Hassan and I have been talking in the last couple weeks about what he wants to do for his birthday next year in 2026. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. I'll reveal that in videos to come. Today, I'm going to talk about planning part one. So, I'm going to tell you something that I've never told you before. The people who know me, my family, they know, but I'm going to reveal something. It's not really a secret. It's just that I didn't talk about it. And that is that I am legally disabled. I'm not going to talk about my diagnosis, but what I will say is that I have flare-ups. I've had over 16. I've had 16 surgeries. I'm having a flare-up today. Look. See, I need to walk with my walker today. So I'm having a flare-up today. It happens, which can probably explain why I'm not as consistent on my videos as I should be or I want to be, but it happens. And so today I decided that even though I'm having a flare up and I had to take some pain meds, I was going to do a video today anyway because I've been MIA for the last 2 weeks. So, what I'm going to talk about is when you're planning a vacation, an adventure for your child with autism, you have to also consider yourself. Okay? You know, I told you in another video that when my parents took us on vacation when we were kids, my parents were nuts. My parents, if they had an Apple Watch to track their steps, they would have got in 40,000 steps a day. Okay? Like I said, they would get us up before the sun came up and we would be out all day long. And we wouldn't come back until after midnight. You know what I mean? It was like, and I'm thinking to myself, my parents were in their 30s and 40s when they did that. But those of us who are over 50 and have real health ailments and, issues or whatever, we have to consider what we're doing, where we're going, how long we're going to be there, what we need, all the things. So I'm going to, as I am planning Hassan's next adventure for 2026, I'm going to bring you in with me as I plan this. So, like I said, Hassan and I have been talking about what he wants to do next. And as you know, his last 3 adventures have been in Walt Disney World. So, you have to stay tuned to see if he will. He has chosen another Walt Disney World or Disney themed vacation, or if he changed it to something else. So, we will talk about that in future videos. But right now, I'm going to talk about how to plan with yourself in mind. Now that might sound a little selfish. Like, well, it's his vacation. He just gets to do what he wants to do. You take him where he wants to go, and you deal with it, mom. But the truth of the matter is that if I plan a vacation solely with him in mind and what he wants, and the whole vacation is catered to him, and I get out here in these Disney streets or these, amusement park streets or wherever we're going, and my body breaks down, then it's not going to be good for him or me. Okay. One of our trips, not the last trip, but the trip before last, and this is just an example. And this was after I had 3 stomach surgeries. I had 3 stomach surgeries from like July through October, 3 of them. And so we went on a trip that following June. And literally on the airplane on the way back to our home here in Atlanta, I had eaten the wrong thing, and like it was like hurry up and land the plane and have that, like the paramedics, the ambulance was waiting for me at the gate. The whole airplane had to wait while the paramedics came and got me, and then I was rushed via ambulance downtown to Atlanta's Emory Hospital with Hassan. And see, the thing is that I want to avoid stuff like that while I'm on vacation with my son, because number one, it's just the two of us. And second of all, that's traumatic for him. You know what I mean? Hassan, what I will say about my kids is that because I've been disabled for over 20 years, my kids are used to seeing me sick, or at least they got used to seeing me sick when they were little. I was always in bed. There was always something wrong with mom. Is she okay? She's at the hospital. You know what I mean? So, but whenever I take him on an adventure, I have to make sure I'm good so that he's good. I don't want it to be traumatic for him. Let me tell you another example. And we weren't on an adventure, but when Hassan was about 6 or 7 years old, I collapsed at Walmart. It was the two of us. It was the evening. It was like 7 p.m. And I collapsed at Walmart. I was in line and I like fell out. And I knew I was going to pass out. But my biggest concern was that Hassan at that time, at age 7, he couldn't communicate who he was, what his mom's name was, you know what I mean? He was young. He hadn't developed those communication skills yet. And sure enough, the ambulance came and my appendix had ruptured. So you see what I'm saying? It's stuff like that. I mean, I couldn't prevent that, but I'm just saying, because he has autism, when we travel, I have to make sure I'm good, if that makes sense. So I want you to consider that whenever you're planning a trip, an adventure for your child with autism, because I don't want to traumatize my son. He's 26, but I don't want him traumatized. I don't want him to be scared to go on vacation with mom because mom didn't do her due diligence to make sure she was good during the trip. Does that make sense? All right, so number one, it cannot be all about them. You have to consider yourself too. If I'm not good, he's not good. If I don't put the oxygen mask on me first, I'm not in a position where I can help him. Does that make sense? That's why they tell you that on the airplane. So I have to make sure that wherever we go, I'm able to walk, I'm able to stand. They have the food that I can eat, because my diet is limited because of the stomach surgeries I had. Okay? And so he has autism, but I have disability issues. So we have to make sure that this trip works for both of us. Okay? So you have to consider all those things. Don't just get out there, or don't say, well, I can't take my kids to an amusement park because I can't walk. I had hip surgery three years ago. I had tears in my hip. I had to have it replaced. And so when I'm having a flare up, I got my walker. Whenever I'm having pain, I have trouble walking. It's painful. But when I take him to Walt Disney World, I have to make it work for him and for me, knowing that I can't walk. I can't stand for long periods of time. But, in another video, I'll go into what kind of changes and tricks and tips that I do and I use so that I can successfully get through amusement parks throughout the day. Okay. So the next tip, consider help or accommodations. So when I take Hassan on his vacation, it's just the two of us. My husband doesn't come. Hassan's big brother doesn't come. Like, it's just the two of us. But if you can, I do it like that just because, number one, whenever it's just the two of us, I really can cater to him. And I don't have a third party, fussing or complaining, or I'm dragging them along. Between me and you, my husband doesn't want to go on Hassan's vacation. He doesn't. He's like, you guys do that. It's cheaper if I stay here. It's easier. You know what I mean? But if you have a spouse, if you have your mom, if you have, a bestie to go with you to help, not just with your child, but also with you, then great. You know what I mean? Special parking. I have a handicap tag that I have in my car for whenever I drive so that it's easier. You know what I mean? Now, you might think, why do you need a handicap tag if you're going to walk around the park all day? Because if I need to get back to my car for emergency reasons or because I'm in pain, I need to be able to get to my car quicker than than if it's all the way in the back of the parking lot. And that amusement parks, they can accommodate thousands of cars. So if I can park, the closest I can park to the entrance as possible, then great. This is a trick that I do whenever we're in the amusement parks. If we go into the park and we are, like I said, like if you have to watch my other videos on Disney vacation planning, I talk about, having a plan, having not an itinerary, but a plan. You get to the park, you look at the map, you see which, you're not going to get through the entire, you're not going to experience every single, attraction, but you have a plan of what you want to experience, and and some things you're going to skip, right? But what I do is in most or all amusement parks, I look to see on the map if there is a ride that can transport. So for instance, at Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, they have a train that goes around the perimeter of the park with different stops along the way. So if we start at Main Street USA and we do whatever, but we want to get to the other side of the park, instead of me walking, we get a train ride, which is great because Hassan likes trains anyway. That's his thing. That's always been his thing. Okay. So we always find a way to incorporate whatever transportation that's in the park so that it can transport us to the other side of the park so that I don't have to do all that walking. So that we don't have to do all that walking. But for me, I get a break. I get to sit down. He gets to enjoy his train ride. I don't have to walk to the other side of the park, and we can get there and I can save my energy. Okay. I have some other tips on taking breaks, but you have to watch the Disney videos that I did on vacation planning and tips and tricks and strategies for the park. Another thing you want to do to help with accommodations is have reservations for meals or order your food in advance. So this is, if you're at the park and you're just like, oh, we're hungry, let's stop and get something to eat, and then you're standing in line, or you have to wait 2 hours for a table at a restaurant. Any sit down restaurants, I know in advance before I leave and get on the airplane to go to Orlando, what restaurants, especially dinner restaurants, we want to have dinner at, and I make those reservations in advance. Okay. But even the short order eateries, you can, a lot of times on your Disney, on your phone, you have the Disney app downloaded. You should be able to pull up that restaurant and place that order. So if we're on the train and we know that we want to eat when we get over to such an Adventureland or whatever, on that train, I'll go ahead and make those, order our food so that it's ready whenever we get there. So I'm not doing any extra standing or any extra walking or, being in the sun. The sun will exhaust me. Yeah, that's, you got to make sure. The third tip that I want to tell you about planning the adventure and making sure you consider what your needs are is bring what you need. So that sounds pretty obvious, right? Of course, I'm going to bring my vitamins and have my ibuprofen, but make sure, like for instance, I've been seeing a migraine specialist for 25 plus years. And if I have a migraine that I cannot get rid of with just drinking more water, hydrating, or taking some ibuprofen, I have prescription migraine medicine that, I'm not going to leave that in the car. I'm not going to leave it at my hotel. I'm going to make sure I have a dose or two in my little backpack that I have. Okay? Have what you need. I always travel with a heating pad. I have heating pads here at the house. but I have a travel heating pad. And even when I get home, it stays in my luggage. Because when I get back to the room, chances are I'm going to need that heating pad. Okay? The hotel doesn't have heating pads for me. The gift shop doesn't have heating pads for me. I have a travel heating pad. They also have those disposable heating stickers that you can put on your low back or on the back of your neck or, on your thigh, wherever, your hip, whatever you need it. But I travel with those in the park. So I'll have 3 of them in my backpack. But my travel heating pad is in my hotel room. And if I have a flare up like a flare up I'm having right now, we don't leave the park. I do what I can to maintain so that I can continue with this visit. And another thing that I make sure I travel with is compression socks. I wear them on the airplane, and I have them in my room at the hotel, but I might put 1 or 2 of them in my pouch in the back. I'm prone to shin splints. So if you have a shin splint flare up while you're at the park because your body's not used to doing all that walking, then you might want to slip on one of your compression socks. Now I have the compression socks that are only on the leg part. It doesn't cover my foot. So if it's summertime and I have on sandals, it doesn't. I'm not wearing a sock like on my foot. But that's my next thing that I wanted to say. Make sure you're wearing the right shoes. I can't tell you how many times I've been to these amusement parks and I look at somebody's shoes and they don't have the support that they need, or they just have on regular beach flip-flops. And I'm like, yeah, listen. If Teray has on the wrong shoes, 2 hours into our Disney trip, I need to go back and lay down, because that means my feet are, you know what I mean? I had surgery on my right foot years ago. So I need to have the right shoes. So I just wanted to give these tips because I feel like there are families who either avoid certain vacations, even for the kids, or they'll go and they'll force themselves to try to keep up with the kids, or they'll stay in the park for only for so long, and once they're miserable they leave. And when I'm telling you, you can't miss those Magic Kingdom fireworks. You can't miss it. Well, it starts at like 9:30 or something at night. So you gotta make sure you're good. Okay? And if you want more tips and tricks on how to vacation, on some more of Hassan's adventures, I'm going to drop that link in the chat. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any other tips or strategies, let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.